How's it going, everyone? AFC Finners, we have returned to the Black Country for our first Football League game of the season in Walsall against Cheltenham. Walsall have had a positive start to the season, and it's a ground that me and Tomaldo have passed many times on the motorway, but I have not been to before. Tom has once before, but at long last, after seeing it so many times, I can finally step inside, and I'm very excited. I did always think it looked nice when you went past it, so it'd be good to tick it off. But yeah, game one of the AFL season. I'm excited. How are you doing, Tom?
Good.
Lovely sunny day in the Black Country, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good actually.
Yes, we parked at a nearby residential place, about a 20-minute walk to the ground. Thank goodness it's not bucketing down with rain. It's a long walk. Takes you on this beautiful overpass across the train tracks. Someone's had a good night. Well, it's a very long walk to the stadium. We've ended up in this area that's so derelict, it's like Nagasaki after the bombing. Oh goodness, but Tom was just saying we need to be like those jungle adventurers who like walk through the trees with knives. Oh, sorry, knives. Oh, this better be a good ground, I tell you what. I decided to pay a quick visit to McDonald's. Got this Grimace shake, if anybody remembers that mascot. It's quite nice, to be fair. The only way I can describe the taste is purple. So Homer Simpson said purple is a fruit. Well, we made it. Let us never speak of the shortcut again. Poundland Stadium. Everything's going to be £1, right? About club shop. A selection of retro kits we've got here. There you go, $7.50. You've got a programme, and sadly they don't do the normal pin badges, but take what you can get. Okay, so we found the entrance for ourselves. We're about to go inside, but before we do, let's find out a bit about today's hosts, Walsall. Walsall were founded as Walsall Town Swifts in 1888. Their first ever match was a 0-0 draw with Aston Villa. They played 2 friendlies soon after against Football League opposition, defeating Burnley and joining with West Brom before going on to join the Midlands Association. They went on to be admitted to the Football League in 1892, being one of the founding members of the second division. Sadly though, poor league finishes saw them fail to reapply for election to the Football League, and they rejoined the Midland League. They later changed their name to Walsall FC and rejoined the Football League, finishing 6th in the second division in 1899, their highest finish in the pyramid to date. They would later end up in the Southern League system, and after the First World War became a founding member of the 3rd Division North, and they've remained in the Football League system ever since. Their league performances in the 1930s are promising, helped largely by the performances of Gilbert Allsop, who would score 169 goals for the club between 1931 and 1935. Also in the 1930s, they achieved one of the greatest shocks in FA Cup history, knocking Herbert Chapman's Arsenal out of the FA Cup, with the Gunners regarded as the greatest side in the country at the time. The other side of the wall saw them fall on hard times, as they had to constantly apply for re-election to the Football League throughout the 1950s, and they had once again become founding members of a division when the 4th tier was founded in 1958. In 1960, they won the 4th division title, scoring 102 goals on the way, and it was their first ever league title. The next season, they finished runners-up to seal the second successive promotion. They would remain in the second division until they relegated in 1963. The end of the 1970s saw Walsall return to the 4th tier, but the early 1980s saw them go on an incredible run to the semi-finals of the League Cup, where they held eventual winners Liverpool 2-2 in the first leg, but they lose the return fixture 2-0. Walsall won the playoffs to return to second tier in 1988, but relegation soon after saw them nearly go out of business, but they were saved by fans and local businessmen at the 11th hour and moved to their current home in 1990, although this would be alongside another relegation. They had returned to the 3rd tier, and in 1999 were promoted to 2nd tier and experienced a yo-yo couple of years, having immediate relegation followed by victory in the playoff final. They fought off relegation for a couple of years before going down in 2004, and then went down again in 2006. They won the League 2 title the next season and established themselves in the division, and in 2015, Dean Smith guided them to Wembley for the first time in a Football League Trophy final. Sadly though, they would lose 2-0 to Bristol City. 2019 saw them relegated to League 2, and they have remained there ever since, hoping to build on their 11th place finish last season. Overall, they have won 2 4th Division titles, 4 Birmingham Senior Cups, 2 Staffordshire Senior Cups, and 3 Walsall Senior Cups. And a bit of trivia, in 1930, Walsall experienced their highest ever attendance for a home game when they faced Aston Villa in the FA Cup, with around 74,000 fans in attendance. The game was moved to Villa Park due to a demand for tickets, and it was at the time the highest ever crowd Villa Park had recorded. So those are our hosts, Walsall. Let's have a look inside their home, Bescott Stadium. Here we go then, AFL action. Yeah, so it'll be, that's one everyone sees on the motorway. Go for £10, got coffee, if you can buy, have chips. Tom just found out that it's not actually a deal because the prices all are the same anyway, but nice to get a pie that's vegan friendly and good chips. Tom's been having a nice burger. You've really enjoyed it, haven't you? What's wrong with it?
Stone cold, doesn't taste of anything. Awful.
Well, let's see if my pie is any better. There we go, vegan steak. Very good. I remember before when veggie what stuff like that tasted like, and it tastes similar. Very good taste. Pucker pies, can't complain. Okay, so Camaldo, you've been to this stadium once before. Tell us what happened.
Well, we won. Luke Varney scored a really good goal. Good day out it was, actually.
You had an easier time getting to the stadium than we did today. To be honest, Walsall, I'm not really a fan of that kit sponsor. I think there's not enough writing. Midway through first half, what do you think so far?
It's alright.
It's been okay, it's quite a tight contest. I think also slightly better, but talking about the opportunities, but can't quite see who'll break through right now. Still 0-0. Half time here, and it doesn't look like anyone's getting a breakthrough. Very evenly matched. Yeah, there could be a game where one goal decides it, but yeah, neither team looking like making a huge breakthrough. But Walsall are in a bit of trouble because they've had to make 2 substitutions due to 2 players getting injured. It obviously means they've used up 2 of their subs, so if they get another injury, could be in a lot of trouble. That could be chance advantage. We'll have to see. Half time, 0-0.
Sponsored by SNS Steel Stock, number 7, Nathan Lowe.
8 minutes into the second half, and it is the home side that make the breakthrough. A cross has come in, it's in brilliantly headed across goal, and Nathan Lowe was there to notch it in. Cheltenham's crosses are terrible in the first half, and Walsall have hit a decent cross, and they've scored from it. That's the difference. 1-0, it's not 0-0.
Former Sappers, sponsored by Bright Spark Electrical, our number 9, Jamil Matt.
Well, Walsall have truly saddled up their horses. Sometimes you have to take your hat off to a bit of genius. A brilliant cross has been played in, and their number 9 sent forward, Jamil Matt, has back-heeled it into net. I don't think I've ever seen a back-heel goal before. Yeah, tight angle, he's nutmegged it, I think, through the legs of the defender as well. Well deserved. It looks like it's the boys in the Black Country who will continue a positive start to the season and take 3 points, 2-0. To go, ain't over yet. Ball's played across the box and in open goal, George Willers flicked it in. Not deserved, but game on. Still time for something for Cham to get on. Full time, it is the Sadness who take the 3 points, much deserved. I don't think Cheltenham even deserved the goal. Positive start to the season continues for the boys in the Black Country. A lot of questions for Cheltenham to answer. Full time, Walsall 2, Cheltenham 1. How do we end up in New York? God damn it. Oh, goodness me. Well, we've had a fun day, but a traumatic journey back to the car. We have you know, Frodo and Sam don't know how lucky they had it. What they went through was nothing compared to what we just did. That was exhausting, going around in circles, 5 different overpasses covered in rubbish, but we somehow made it to the car. Goodness me. But anyway, Walsall, that was a fun day, and it's really good to finally tick off that ground, having driven past it so many times. First EFL game of the season, and an enjoyable experience to tell you more on the ratings. Thank you to Maldo for driving us. Next week will be Wealdstone. Hopefully we'll be back at an EFL game soon. Thank you for watching. I shall leave you now as I rate the experience. So we'll start off with the welcome, and it's a bit of a mixed bag in some areas. Like, some of the stewards and staff were really polite, others were a bit abrupt and rude. Like, there was one point where I went in and I just turned left to go to a room, and like, it looks like it was the toilets. It wasn't. As I was walking there, and she was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, what are you doing?" I was just looking for the toilets. You know what I mean? It was just like a simple thing that didn't need to be escalated. And I did oversee some stewards. Some kids were sat in some seats at the away section to our right at the front, and technically those were the disabled seats, but it wasn't stopping anyone disabled from being sat there. So as far as I'm concerned, if those seats are available, they're free reign. But one steward was just giving these kids a rollicking throughout and eventually kicked them out of the ground. It's just like, well, they're not causing any issue there. It's not stopping disabled people from getting a seat, so just leave it be, you know what I mean? There were just some stewards that seemed a bit jobsworthy. Some were very, very polite and helpful, don't get me wrong, and same with the catering staff. It was like quite well set up for, you know, a good match day experience. I think there were sections where you could have like interactive games. There's a really big area outside the ground for fans to mingle and stuff before the game. So I think there's like a decent amount of effort put into having an experience, but I think they could maybe do a little bit more with the space they do have. Just maybe put on a few more interactive games and maybe have like a decent fan zone with like a stage, interview former players and stuff like some clubs do. So yeah, there were some issues with the welcome, but I appreciate it was more just a case of individual personality with some of the stewards perhaps, rather than the club overall. It wasn't the best welcome I've ever received, but at least there were positive people there. So I'd probably give the welcome a 5 out of 10. Food and drink, it did the job it needed to. I got a good amount of food for what I paid for. It was good pie, good chips, good coffee. Can't really complain. They were sort of cookie cutter, like pucker pie and Douay Egbert's coffee, but at the end of the day, you can't complain with that. It did exactly what it needed to. Tom obviously had issues with his burger. He said it was cold and just didn't taste very nice, which is a shame. Like, the pies are good, but you would think if you can get a pie right, you can get a burger right too. So I think that was disappointing. But yeah, the food did the job for me, but I appreciate it didn't for Tom. But at least, like, in terms of variety, there are plenty of pies available, including a vegan option, which I really appreciate. So in terms of options there, it was really good, but it's a shame about the burger. So it worked for me, but maybe not for Tom. It's a shame. So I'll probably give food and drink a 6.5 out of 10. Atmosphere was a bit of a strange one, because the stand opposite us, you would naturally assume would be where the singers were, but I really didn't hear much throughout the game. Like, even when they scored, there were only sporadic bits of chanting. I'd say the stadium was probably about 70% full. There were a lot of people there, and I did expect them to make a bit more noise, but I didn't really hear anything throughout, and especially considering they won. Yeah, it just wasn't too much. It wasn't like any anthem going into the game. Throughout, you only heard chanting here and there. So yeah, I thought the atmosphere was a bit disappointing, and I think, especially considering they've had a good run of form and had good attendance, they really should have made some more noise. So I'll probably give the atmosphere 4 out of 10. Stadium, it is a nice ground. I think the 3 stands need a bit of work, because you've obviously got poles in all the way, and maybe the giant stand does mask things a bit, but no, I think for a level that it is pretty decent and very much cut off on the outside world, which I very much like a ground to be. Apart from the poles, aesthetically it's pretty good, and around the outside you got like a lot of artwork and stuff. Like, they definitely take a lot of care to give the club an identity, and I do think it's well maintained, hasn't been left to rot or anything like that, and there's a lot of areas very clean, very up to date, which I do respect. I just think, like, obviously I can't do anything necessarily about where it is located, but I just think how difficult it was to walk to, I think does need to be a bit of work done, because you just go around in circles, try and find a car park, and it just wasn't signed very well. and the fact that you had to walk through like a forest. I do think there just needs to be a better route established to stadium, like a proper pathway. They also focus a lot on what's immediately around the grounds, but I think for someone going away like we were, trying to sort of parking nearby, it really was difficult to get to and from the car. Apart from that, I thought it was a pretty decent stadium and a nice place to watch football. I'll probably give the stadium a 6.5 out of 10. Value for money, it was £24 for a ticket. I personally think it's a little bit steep for League Two. I personally think it should be between 15 and 20 quid, but at least like it was a good ground and you got a decent experience for that, so I'm a bit more willing to let it slide. Like Cheltenham home games are about 26 quid and they're rubbish. So like Walsall do a bit better to justify that. In terms of like the food, we obviously established that like the deal they had wasn't actually a deal, because coffee, pie and chips cost exactly the same added up individually as the deal said, so you weren't actually saving any money with it, so it's kind of cheating people there. I had that for my lunch and I didn't need to eat anything until I got home. At no point during the game was I thinking, oh, I could do something else to eat. So I think that's pretty good. I got energized and I had my lunch and didn't need to eat again. So for a tenner, that's pretty solid. Can't complain about that. Program and pin badge for about £7.50 combined, so I'm assuming that's about £4 for program. I think both things should be £3 each. I just think that's a good round price, but not the end of the world. So the ticket itself is a bit pricey, but it's more justified being that price. Enough grounds I've seen at this level, and I think you do get a decent experience for what you pay for, so can't complain too much. I'll probably give the value for money a 7 out of 10. So first Football League round of the season. Thank you, Walsall. Good to tick you off. Wishing you all the best for the rest of the season. Seems like promotion is certainly in the conversation for you. Hopefully there'll be plenty more Football League rounds to come. In the meantime, if you'd like to see more days out like this, you can see my Patreon in the link below. If you could support me for £1 a month, I'd be eternally grateful, and you can help me get many more days out like this done. So please check out the link. In the meantime, I've been AFC Finners. Thank you all for watching. See you next time and stick with us as we go ground to ground. AFC Finners out.